of the evening, like 20 more minutes. We're gonna chat a little bit more about investing in this space, and we have like two additional new faces, experts on that. On the left, we have Dr. Dirk Richter, who's with the Department of Health, and he leads the division. He's the division director of the health sector innovation here in the UAE. Todd, we just heard from him what Vitadao is doing and his role in that. And then left to me we have Paolo, who is an engineer by background, similar to Todd actually as well. So that shows there's like an engineering way to that space. And Paolo launched Exceptional Ventures last year, which is like a venture capital fund with the mission to help people live healthier lives longer. And with that in mind, we're going to do a very brief exercise that will get us to a healthier longer life that Paolo is leading.
Thank you so much. So it's been a really long day. Can I ask you guys to stand up? And we're going to be doing a 1 minute long, so very brief exercise. It's called the physiological sigh. And it works like this. You take 2 breaths in through your nose and then 1 long out through your mouth, okay? Do it with me, 2 in through your nose, so 1 long out through your mouth. So 1 more time, 2 in. Long out. How do you feel? Yeah, so a study this year from Stanford University demonstrated the physiological side reduces stress and anxiety level immediately. So your heart rate goes lower, your heart rate variability higher. So hopefully it's going to help you through the last 15 minutes.
Fantastic, thank you. Also great that everybody was like joining on it. So now let's go into the Q&A and pick the brain of those guys. Maybe let's start with Dirk. From your perspective of like the health department, what makes longevity an exciting investment? Where do you see the excitement coming in? What are you excited about? What are like governments excited about?
Yes, thank you. It's 100% our vision. I mean, we are as a Department of Health, we're looking at, of course, at a healthier Abu Dhabi, but we also look at people living longer and healthy. So, I mean, the idea, we measured survival rates and other things like this years ago, but now our vision is very clear. It's healthier and living long and healthy. So I think this is perfectly in line with what we do. It hasn't been called longevity some years ago, but in the end, I mean, it's exactly what the Department of Health should aim at, keeping the population healthy, yeah, let them live longer. And the other thing is that it's more cost-driven. I mean, if you look around the corner, we cannot see from here, you see this very impressive Cleveland Clinic Abu Dhabi. A huge investment, probably cutting edge in terms of healthcare with many other healthcare providers, but nobody in the world can afford to just enter the space with healthcare. You have to be much earlier, you have to take care of longevity, and healthcare is just the final solution when things have gone wrong. And so this is basically our motivation to invest.
Would you say in a way then, like for a country, like the risk-reward ratio is like there, that like every penny or every dollar you spend, what's the expected payoff you expect as a country on that?
I mean, it starts with research. Every dollar you invest in research capitalizes 3, 4, 5, 10 times. I think it's the same, of course, with investing in longevity. The business case is relatively hard to make in terms of, I can tell you it's 10 times, it's 100 times, but around this one, because it's really very important. If you look at the cost of diseases, it's hard to imagine, but this is really something, and it's increasing because the burden of disease is increasing, so this factor increases almost every year.
Todd, if you think about it, why did Vitadao actually got launched in the longevity intersection with crypto? Why is that exciting, or what was for like the DAO community? Why was longevity an exciting investment?
Well, I think as I mentioned in my talk, the crypto community itself has a very sort of can-do attitude, and longevity is one of these big ideas that I think resonates with people. I think there's a very humanist side to people in the crypto community in general. They want to have freedom, and they're very sort of libertarian about that. So I think, if you were trying to do a public good, and quite often we use that term public good in the crypto world, I think that longevity is one of those public goods. If you're going to invest money and put money into something, that would be, one of the better areas to invest.
And for exceptional ventures, what makes longevity exceptional? That you're dabbling in it and trying to move it forward with money, especially like on consumer applications and things like that.
Indeed. So, as a fund, let me take a step back. We're a 20 million pounds fund based out of London. We invest in an early stage technology company that help people live healthier, happier, longer lives. So we do checks ranging from 250K up to 500K in startups that are raising pre-seed and seed rounds, mainly in the areas of health tech, food tech, and financial health. And when we talk about health tech, for us is all the application of health tech other than drug discovery. In other words, there would be mental health, for example, digital therapeutics for mental health. It would be physical health, for example, wearables, like a new hardware continuous glucose monitor that is cheaper, that is longer lasting, that is reusable and non-invasive. It would be, for example, the ability to have children later in life, so fertility. It would be, for example, glycanage. We invested in Nicolina's company and couldn't be happier. So all these things are part of health tech for us. Within food tech, what we look at is the ability to feed the world sustainably, right? That at an affordable cost, that is not bad for the environment, that doesn't have contamination from antibiotics, from feces. So everything that is around novel protein, alternative proteins. And the last thing is, if you help people actually get into the later stages of life in a better physical, in a better mental health state, they also need to sustain themselves. Hence why the angle of financial health. And within financial health, that's what we want to do, financial education, financial inclusions. So far, we're investing in 20 companies with the objective to build a portfolio of 40 startups in 3 years.
Well, that's quite a number. When you think about your portfolio, or like in general, we heard a lot about the role of AI and blockchain in the longevity space. How do you see that investment thesis intertwined with what you're doing? In a way, you could look at it like you have biotech, where you have like those 10, 15-year horizons, right? Like where people really try to modulate molecules and matter. And then you have like almost like a software play on health, right? Where you still deal with like apps and data and machine learning, which can be much faster, also like much faster returns. So how do you combine them, compare them? Do you have preferences? How do you look at that?
There's a number of applications. I love the post from Mark Andreessen that says, AI will save the world. And in it, he mentions that actually, each of us is gonna have, for example, a mental therapist in our phone, which is infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely patient. It's available 24/7, 365, at a fraction of the cost. These are some of the things we are investing on, for example. That's one way AI plays in it. Another way is, of course, for example, in having imaging of CT scans and the ability for AI to have a better idea, okay, this could be lung cancer or not, and support decision making. So all these areas have been heavily impacted, heavily benefited from the advancement in AI technologies.
Dirk, I just see you nodding. How do you think about it? Especially, I mean, the UAE with Dubai is already quite a crypto stronghold, right? There's AI happening, now there's more longevity coming up. How do you combine those new technologies, or like your perspective on that?
I mean, first of all, we believe in the power of data. And this is, I mean, government indirectly investing in companies is one story, but for us it's even much more important to build the infrastructure. And what we started to do, I mean, the biggest in the world now is this Emirati Genome Project. So we have, I think, almost 500,000 genomes fully sequenced sample. So this is a treasure in terms of longevity, many other research applications. And we have our digital patient record, Malafi, for the whole emirate, both of them linked. So we have data nobody else in the world has. And then as another element in this is, of course, besides other universities, is Mohammed bin Zayed University for AI. So we have all the ingredients to the users. And what we really believe is this will be the infrastructure of the future. Data is the new oil, in a way, and this is what we provide as a government. And then we think the private sector should, of course, do the question which technology is the one. That's something that the market needs to decide in the end. But I think for government it's important, and this has been done here in a very leading way to really invest in infrastructure, create the platform to enable all this to happen.
Todd, do you think DAOs could work without blockchain? What would VitaDAO be if the cryptocurrency or blockchain would have not been invented?
I think probably the most obvious answer is a cooperative or an association. But I think one of the things that gets lost is that if you look at most associations, they're usually regional or national. VitaDAO is international. We have contributors from all over the world. And I think because of the interest in cryptocurrency and Web3 technology, again, I come back to the ease of getting access to capital to actually do things. You can find people that want to put funds together to actually advance a particular cause. So I think VitaDAO could exist. It would probably not be as easy or as effective as it currently has been. Because like I said, we funded 20 projects in basically 2 years, and there doesn't appear to be any constraints on raising more funding or advancing more.
So if I'm currently an investor in other areas, let's say I'm just a normal SaaS software investor, or I come from manufacturing or anything like that, and now I heard about longevity and I buy into the idea of it, how powerful it would be for humanity, but also the investment thesis. What would you suggest how people get involved or get to know, to learn about longevity biotech, but obviously also like longevity health tech, longevity medicine? How do you get people experience in that? I mean, there's so much stuff out there now, it's a complex matter. There's a lot of stuff out there that obviously also like falls probably like in the snake oil category, right? How should people do due diligence as investors, but also like just getting to know and not like just jumping on the next hype?
Yeah, so, well, in general, as an investor, I love to understand the things I invest in. So I definitely recommend that people read and do their own due diligence, do their own homework. But in other words, there are a lot of sources. For example, things I really like, I got into, so I'm an engineer, as mentioned. I then transitioned to invest in this sector. I did so by spending maybe 10 years reading on my spare time about nutrition, about meditation, about fitness and health. And I started a fitness bootcamp in London, right, in 2015, which we also launched in Dubai in 2020. And so I spent a lot of time, and I also hired in my team medical doctors, right, and neuroscientists. So when it's time to do due diligence, I can ask them. I can do due diligence on the entrepreneur, on the market, on the business model. But then when it comes down to the scientific bit, they can keep me true in a way. And for the layperson, I would say that first I would definitely do a lot of like readings. I don't know, I love Peter Attia, I love Andrew Huberman. I'm sure there are many other sources that you guys can cite that can keep somebody informed. And then there's different ways. For example, I don't know that I would recommend someone to do angel investments on their own. I think it's a great way to lose money, right? I really mean it. Unless you know you're going to build a portfolio of at least like 25 or 30 portfolio companies, angel investments, don't do it. If you're only going to do 1, 2, or 3, your likelihood of lose money is way higher. So exposure through, for example, public markets, ETFs that track these certain sectors is better, or in private market, you can invest through a fund, for example. Is a much better way to learn. And then after you spend number of years learning about it, then maybe you can start investing into direct deals.
Yeah, I think that's echoing what Sergey was saying earlier, right? That it's like most people he talked to lost money in biotech. Todd, how do you think about that, like getting people educated and more involved, making smart decisions when it comes to longevity investments?
So I think the answer from a VitaDAO perspective is pretty straightforward. We have the longevity deal flow working group. We have access to all of these PhD researchers who actually know this space really well from a scientific perspective. From a business perspective, of course, within the community we have that. So if you're interested in investing in longevity, you could kind of follow along with where VitaDAO goes. If you were a larger fund, obviously you'd want the more detailed due diligence that's kind of under the hood at VitaDAO. But we're a great source actually for that kind of investment.
Yeah, I'm obviously biased. It's a hive mind. Hive minds can be powerful. I know Dirk has to run soon. So, Dirk, a question for you. If you look at the UAE, how do you see the UAE create an investor-friendly biotech ecosystem? What does it have to get right? How will the UAE go about it? And how is it thinking about strengthening the longevity sector through like strong funding mechanisms and strong financial incentives?
We are here in Abu Dhabi. We are on the way to build a life sciences hub for the region. So we have developed our strategy and very clear. This is what we want to do. One of the building blocks, of course, are investors. I'm not talking about our sovereign wealth fund, but really private investors, people investing in early stages. And what we realize, many people, which makes a lot of sense, follow your advice. Only invest in something you understand, which is good, of course. However, if you don't have a, let's call it, historically grown landscape of investors, one of the things we need to do is really, first of all, to educate, to help. Some of the investment targets are very obvious for somebody who understands a little bit about but not for somebody who comes from fintech or anywhere else. So one of the things for us, it's important to educate. And then the other role I think we also have as a government in order to build all this is to de-risk investments, to support in a way. One example is we have our health tech hub around the corner. I have a dedicated team over here working with startups, helping them to get over those regulatory hurdles. But there's also other leading examples, Israel Innovation Authority and others, de-risking investments by putting some money in the bucket as well. And that's what we try to do, because reasonable investors only invest in what they understand, but government can help to understand and also to de-risk in a way. And this applies to life sciences. Biotech, of course, also covers longevity.
Yeah, it's great to see that you see the role there, the governmental role, very active and not passive. I want to open up the floor for questions to our three panelists. Are there any questions in the room? Then.
Thank you. Patrick Merel, I'm from TII, Technology Innovation Institute, and I have a question for Dirk, because, this is so beautiful opportunity to ask you, Dirk. So, indeed, the UAE, and specifically Abu Dhabi, has built a beautiful infrastructure for having a single identifier for patients, which is the UEID, having built Malafi for collecting clinical data, and running EGP for genomics. So now, from my entrepreneur side, I will ask the question, how DOH and the authority of this country do envision giving access to this data for research, but as well for entrepreneurs to mine the data, to develop algorithms, and to do POC. Because this is where there is a need, and this is where as well, this is such a big opportunity for this country.
Absolutely. I mean, all this, of course, has been built for research, for commercialization of data, for getting evidence, for developing products. I mean, you're currently in this stage, and this is not the easiest exercise, first of all, to build stable processes. And then, of course, it also goes with governance, with data security and all of it. But the idea is to create a portal where people can access data, not download, but access data, all of it. Yeah, again, for a regulator, I mean, I wouldn't say the technical stuff is easy. I mean, you have been part of a company collecting all those samples. But the idea is to really create a portal, create a clear governance structure, authorization processes, and then giving different groups access to the data without the ability to download or giving access to the full set of all data, but really trying to customize. But that's something we are working on. And it's not the easiest part of all this project, to be honest. I mean, it's not technology. It depends, of course, on the investments. Is something you can achieve, but making this safe, having a clear governance, at the same time offering everybody what she or he needs is something we're working on.
Cool. So we gotta wrap it up. For each of you, you have like 20 seconds for any final words that come to your mind. Paolo, you wanna go ahead?
Yeah, thank you so much for organizing the event, to you and to Nicolina. I know that it was a lot of work, so guys, help me out. Well done. Bravi. And if you come to London, please, you're going to be my guest, and you guys too, ping me. We run these fitness boot camps every Sunday, 11 a.m. in Hyde Park, and it's free.
And just thank you again to everyone for coming. I hope you had a good day, and I'll pass it along.
Same here. Thank you very much. I came very late, but I'm really impressed, which is shows the quality of what has happened today, how many people are still here at this time of the day. This is really impressive. Thank you for inviting me, and happy to be part of it.
Thank you to our panelists.